Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. After being reborn into the 1980s, the first thing I did was switch my engagement from the younger brother to the older one. In my past life, I had married the younger brother, whom I loved deeply. But in his heart, there was only his first love, his white moonlight. No matter the big matters or small, he only cared about her. He even allowed her to humiliate me again and again. When she pushed me over and caused me to misery, not only did he not comfort me, he even frowned and said he was terrified by the sight of so much blood. I was expected to console him instead. "Go to the hospital by yourself," he said coldly. Physically and emotionally shattered, utterly desperate and helpless, I ultimately chose to take my own life. So after being reborn, I abandoned the younger brother and chose the older brother instead. But my scumbag ex-husband regretted it and came crying, begging me to give him another chance. "Emma," Mrs. Val Johnson said, "back when your parents passed away, they entrusted you to our family, the Johnsons. Over all these years, we've long treated you like our own daughter-in-law. Now that you're of age to marry, look at the two brothers, Andrew and Aaron. Which one will you choose?" Hearing these words, I was momentarily stunned, my mind completely blank. The scene before my eyes felt both familiar and strange. Seeing Mrs. Johnson looking 30 years younger left me confused and disoriented. Yet Mrs. Johnson wasn't impatient. She simply held my hand gently and repeated the question in a soft voice. Before I could even open my mouth, the handsome young Aaron grew impatient. "Emma, stop pretending. You know exactly what my mom means," he snapped. Mrs. Johnson glared at Aaron. "Look at you acting all high and mighty just because Emma thinks highly of you. Let me tell you, it's not certain who she'll choose yet. So quit running your mouth." Aaron immediately went silent after being scolded. But just then, a voice I would never forget for the rest of my life rang out. "There was never a need for all this," sneered a girl. "Who doesn't know Emma clings to Aaron like a little tail every day? Aaron, I can't stand you being treated like goods in a state-run store. Waiting for her to pick between you and Andrew. I'm leaving, and you're coming with me." As she spoke, Lily glared at me viciously, her face dark with anger, then turned and ran off. Aaron looked at me, then back at Lily's retreating figure and hastily said, "Fine, I'll marry you, but right now I have to go comfort Lily. Anyway, I'll show up for the wedding when the time comes." With that, Aaron ignored Mrs. Johnson's attempts to stop him and ran straight out of the house. It wasn't until Aaron's figure disappeared from view that I finally snapped out of my shock. This wasn't the hallucination before death. I had truly been reborn. On this very day in my past life, Mrs. Johnson had brought Andrew and Aaron to my house and asked me to pick one as my fiancé. Honestly, both Aaron and Lily were right. The whole thing was just a formality. Everyone knew I loved. I would never marry anyone else. So at the time, I didn't even hesitate before choosing Aaron. He had shown the same attitude back then too, half-heartedly agreeing before immediately chasing after Lily. I had been furious, chasing after him and having a huge fight, even slapping Lily hard across the face, warning her to stop pestering Aaron. Afterward, I married Aaron, but Lily became a thorn lodged between us. Impossible to pull out, impossible to ignore. Because of countless fights and struggles with Lily, I suffered another miscarriage and lost my ability to have children. After that incident, Aaron treated me better for a while, and a few months later he adopted a child for us. From then on, we finally lived the life of a normal married couple. I thought that after enduring so much hardship, I had finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel. But 30 years later, on the day I handed over the company to our daughter Madison, I discovered the cruel truth. Madison was actually the biological child of Aaron and Lily. I completely collapsed. The two men I had loved most, my husband and my adopted daughter, stood there mocking and ridiculing me. Lily even knelt down mockingly and said, "Emma, back then you falsely accused me of causing your miscarriage, leading to your infertility. So I gave you my daughter to compensate you for 30 years. Now I beg you, please return my lover and my child to me." I was so furious that I felt like I died on the spot while the three of them simply looked on coldly as if I deserved it. Thinking back to all the endless arguments of my past life, the countless lonely nights, the endless grievances and unwillingness to give up, my face felt icy cold. When I reached up and touched it, I realized my cheeks were soaked with tears. Seeing how hard I was crying, Mrs. Johnson, who had always treated me like her own daughter, looked absolutely heartbroken. "Emma, don't cry," she said, her voice trembling. "I'll make sure you get justice. I'll have your brother Andrew bring Aaron back right now. I'll make him apologize properly and promise that he'll never contact that girl Lily again. I'll make him stay by your side and treat you right." I knew Mrs. Johnson wasn't just saying empty words. She had always treated me better than even her own sons, Andrew and Aaron. But the truth was, I wasn't crying because Aaron had run off. To me, Aaron was just a wrong turn I had stubbornly insisted on taking in my past life. I had closed my eyes and walked down a dark path without ever thinking of turning back. Now, standing once again at the crossroads, there was no way I would make the same mistake. I was crying for the 30 years of my past life that I had wasted, and I was crying out of happiness for being given a second chance. I quickly grabbed Mrs. Johnson's hand. "There's no need, Auntie," I said. "It's obvious that Aaron doesn't love me. If I marry him, neither of us will be happy. Lily won't be happy, and I won't find happiness either. Marriage is supposed to bring happiness. It won't harm everyone, Mrs. Johnson." Mrs. Johnson froze for a moment. "Emma, what do you mean by that?" she asked. My hand trembled slightly as I pointed toward Andrew. "I choose to marry Andrew," I said. For a moment, Mrs. Johnson stood stunned, and Andrew just stared at me, completely dumbfounded. But in his shocked gaze, I could see a faint spark of excitement. Mrs. Johnson, however, was the one who seemed the happiest. She immediately pulled Andrew over to stand in front of me. "What are you so stunned for?" she said, beaming. "Go on, talk to Emma. If you dare make her upset, I'll skin you alive." Andrew's face turned bright red, but he nodded seriously. "Okay," he said firmly. After Mrs. Johnson left, the house fell into an awkward silence. Andrew and I stood there, staring at each other. As the minutes passed, I gradually calmed down. At first, I thought I had been too impulsive. After everything that happened in my last life, maybe I shouldn't even be thinking about marriage. But then I thought about it carefully. Why shouldn't I get married? I wanted a husband who would love and cherish me and a few sweet, obedient children. Andrew was honestly a wonderful choice. In my past life, while I had foolishly chased after Aaron, every time I looked back, I would see Andrew quietly standing there. Even after I married Aaron, Andrew had turned down every matchmaking opportunity that came his way, becoming known throughout the area as the strange man who refused to marry. He was always good to me. Every time I had an argument with Aaron, he and Mrs. Johnson would step in to scold Aaron for me. In fact, Andrew and Mrs. Johnson had died in a car accident while trying to mediate between me and Aaron. Even while gravely injured, Andrew had clung to Aaron's hand, refusing to close his eyes until Aaron promised to treat me better. Only then did he finally let go. But back then, I never knew whether Andrew treated me so well because he saw me as a little sister or because he loved me as a woman. After all, in my past life, even my own husband hadn't truly loved me. How could I ever be confident enough to believe someone else would? After hesitating for a moment, I spoke up, my voice soft and uncertain. "Andrew, I wasn't speaking out of spite earlier. But if you don't want to marry me, I'll explain everything to Auntie myself." Before I could finish my sentence, Andrew interrupted me. "I do," he said quickly.
I do. I absolutely do.
His face was flushed, but his words didn't stop. "I've loved you since we were kids. So whether you said it in anger or sincerity, I'm 1,000 times, 10,000 times willing to marry you." After our engagement was set, Andrew and I got along incredibly well. Our feelings for each other grew stronger day by day. Mrs. Matlatt Johnson was so overjoyed. She immediately started making arrangements for the wedding. Because I had been so obsessed with Aaron in the past, no one even questioned whether it was Aaron I was engaged to. Not even Aaron himself realized I was about to become his sister-in-law. But it wasn't that we hadn't told him. After he ran off chasing Lily that day, he had stubbornly stayed in the factory dormitory, refusing to come home out of sheer spite. It wasn't until half a month later, when Andrew and I were having dinner with Mrs. Johnson, that Aaron finally returned. The moment he saw me, his face instantly fell. "Emma, you've got some nerve," Aaron sneered. "Sure, I agreed to marry you, but does that mean you can just move into my house before we're even married?" What's wrong? Are you afraid I'll change my mind and not marry you so you moved in early to make sure everyone knows you're my fiancé? Or are you just so poor you can't even afford to feed yourself and have to freeload off my family? Mrs. Johnson was furious, and Andrew stood up with a cold expression. I knew they were about to speak up for me, but I tugged lightly at their sleeves to stop them. I stood up myself, looking calmly at Aaron. Aaron, I said, my voice steady, your father and mine were brothers in arms on the battlefield. Their bond was 100 times stronger than blood. When your mother gave birth to you and couldn't nurse you properly during her confinement, it was my mother who fed you and kept you alive. To put it bluntly, you owe your life to my mother. So tell me, why shouldn't I be allowed to eat at this house? Aaron's face immediately changed. He had expected me to cry, to ask him why he hadn't come home, to tell him how much I missed him. He hadn't expected me to calmly question him like this. He opened and closed his mouth several times before finally muttering, I didn't mean it like that, Emma. Don't misunderstand. I just had a little argument with Lily earlier, so I'm in a bad mood. I had no interest in hearing about his issues with Lily, so I didn't even glance at him. Instead, I sat back down and picked up my bowl, continuing to eat as if nothing had happened. Seeing me like this, Andrew visibly relaxed, and Mrs. Johnson happily added a piece of tofu, my favorite, into my bowl. Eat up, Emma, she said warmly. You'll be eating at this table for the rest of your life. Seeing no one paying attention to him, Aaron's expression turned even uglier. After hesitating for a long time, he finally pulled a cloth ration ticket out of his pocket. Here, he said stiffly. I traded with someone for this. You can use it to buy some fabric and make yourself a new dress. I froze for a moment. In my past life, on the day of my engagement, after I had chased after Lily and argued with her, Aaron had scolded me for falsely accusing her and had given her cloth ration tickets as an apology. Lily then wore a bright red new dress to my wedding, flaunting it proudly. I hadn't expected that since I hadn't chased her this time, the cloth tickets had actually ended up back in my hands. But of course I didn't want them now. There's no need, I said coldly. My wedding dress is already finished. You should keep your cloth tickets and give them to Lily instead. Aaron didn't insist. He immediately stuffed the cloth ticket back into his pocket. Since you're being so straightforward, I won't beat around the bush either. He said, right now everyone is gossiping about Lily, saying she's improper and that she seduced me. Those rumors are hurtful, and it's all your fault. You need to go apologize to Lily and help clear her name. And from now on, you're not allowed to talk to me in that cold tone. You're the one who did wrong, and your attitude is making it look like I'm the one at fault. I wasn't angry. If anything, I became even colder. I looked straight at Aaron and said, the innocent have nothing to fear. The public sees everything clearly. If everyone is saying you and Lily did something wrong, maybe the problem lies with the two of you. Coming to blame me is pointless. Besides, even if I could control what people say, I wouldn't want to. As for the way I talk to you, if you didn't come to me with such unreasonable demands, I wouldn't be cold to you. It was the first time I had ever spoken to Aaron like this. He almost thought I had gone mad. But my indifferent attitude left him with no outlet for his anger. You've really grown some guts, Emma, Aaron growled. You dare talk to me like this? Fine. If you don't apologize to Lily, I won't marry you. And without giving anyone a chance to respond, he stormed out of the house again, seething. Mrs. Johnson frowned. What on earth is he talking about? She muttered. Didn't you two tell him that it's Andrew you're marrying? Andrew and I exchanged a glance, then shook our heads at the same time. We thought you would tell him, we said in unison. Mrs. Johnson sighed. Forget it. Let him be. I'm done worrying about him. After dinner, Andrew walked me home. Along the way, he pulled out several cloth ration tickets from his pocket. I was planning to give these to you tomorrow so we could go buy fabric together, he said. I took the tickets and shook my head. Andrew, we're getting married soon. Don't you know that the bride and groom aren't supposed to see each other before the wedding? If we keep seeing each other before the wedding, it'll bring bad luck to the marriage, I said firmly. So from now on, don't come looking for me. Andrew held my hand tightly. That's just an old superstition, he said, trying to reassure me. It's not real. But I remembered clearly in my past life, even before marrying Aaron, he and Lily were already entangled. I had gotten angry and caused a few scenes, seen Aaron a few times, and yet our marriage had still ended up miserable. Thinking of that, I shook my head firmly. Andrew didn't believe in those old customs either, but seeing how determined I was, he reluctantly agreed. Then let me look at you a little longer now. The day of the wedding came quickly. I stood at the door of my house, dressed in my wedding gown, waiting for Andrew to arrive. But before he could get there, Aaron showed up first, riding a bicycle with Lily sitting on the back. Emma, if you don't apologize to Lily, this wedding isn't happening, Aaron barked. Lily tugged at her new dress, a smug smile on her face. Emma, she said. Honestly, I'm not even mad anymore. But Aaron thinks you must apologize. You should listen to him. Otherwise, you'll delay the ceremony. I simply glanced at Aaron and Lily, then turned without a word and climbed onto the back seat of Andrew's bicycle. Wrapping my arms around Andrew's waist, I said loudly, "Let's go, husband. Your little brother's throwing another tantrum." The moment I called Andrew husband, Aaron was completely stunned. Andrew looked like he wanted to say something, but the moment I hugged him from behind, his whole back stiffened and he said nothing. Instead, he pedaled away, carrying me out of the chaos. The crowd that had been watching the commotion followed behind us, leaving Aaron standing there dumbfounded. But it didn't take long before Aaron, dragging Lily with him, chased after us to the wedding venue. He rushed over like a madman and grabbed my arm. "Are you crazy?" he shouted. "What nonsense were you just spouting? I'm your fiancé. Are you blind or something?" Lily, watching Aaron panic, looked a bit irritated herself and said sarcastically, "That's right, Emma. That kind of joke isn't funny at all. You and Andrew must be pulling this stunt just to get back at Aaron, right?" Aaron, hearing Lily's words, suddenly seemed to realize something. "You're doing this because I asked you to apologize to Lily, aren't you? You're trying to get back at me by pretending to marry Andrew, but I told you it was for your own good. How could you be so reckless?" He waved his hand impatiently.
Fine, fine.
"If you don't want to apologize, whatever, but let go of my brother's hand right now. Today is our wedding day. Whatever issues you have, we'll sort them out after." The moment those words left his mouth, the onlookers couldn't hold back anymore. "Aaron, what are you even talking about?" someone shouted. "Look up. The groom's name on the banner isn't yours." "Exactly," another person chimed in. "It's you who's been sneaking around with Lily, and you still have the nerve to think you're marrying Emma? Are you trying to have one foot in two boats or what? Look at what you're doing. It's shameless." "And Lily," someone else shouted. "What are you thinking? Showing up at Emma's wedding in a bright red dress, trying to be the second wife or something?" Lily's face flushed red, then turned pale as she clung desperately to Aaron's arm. "Aaron, they must have misunderstood because of something Emma said. You need to explain it to them," she cried. "I only wore this dress because it was the one you gave me. I wasn't trying to steal Emma's spotlight." In the past, if Lily cried like this, Aaron would immediately fly into a rage at me. But this time, he was only frantic to grab my hand. "Emma, they're wrong, right?" he said, his voice trembling. "You couldn't possibly be marrying my brother. You've always loved me. Ever since we were kids, you always followed me around. And didn't I say it before? I was willing to marry you. I only chased after Lily because I was worried she might do something stupid. You have to believe me. There's nothing between me and Lily. I've only ever loved you." His voice cracked as he pleaded with me, his words thick with desperation. I didn't quite understand what Aaron's reaction meant, but honestly, I didn't care anymore. I coldly pushed his hand away and firmly linked arms with Andrew. "Aaron," I said icily, "don't call me Emma like that anymore. From now on, you should call me sister-in-law." Mrs. Johnson frowned deeply. "What are you making a scene about? Emma and your brother are already legally married." "I don't care what you thought before," Mrs. Johnson said sternly. "From now on, Emma is your sister-in-law." Aaron looked like he was on the verge of collapse. "No," he whispered hoarsely. "That's impossible. This isn't real. Emma is mine." Seeing him like that, Lily's eyes turned red with anger. "Aaron," she said sharply, "let's just leave. I'll take you away from here." For the first time, Aaron ignored Lily's plea. He looked at me with pitiful, pleading eyes. "Emma, I'm not leaving. I know I made mistakes before, But all those years of feelings between us weren't fake. You can't just erase everything we had because of one mistake. Hearing that, I finally understood. In this moment, Aaron and I hadn't yet accumulated all the deep resentments of my past life. Right now, there was still the bond of childhood friendship between us. Ever since we were young, we had both known that we were supposed to marry each other. It was something we had simply taken for granted. So now my sudden decision to marry Andrew instead, Aaron simply couldn't accept it. I sighed, about to say something more, but Lily couldn't bear being ignored any longer. She exploded. Emma, you're disgusting. If you've already chosen Andrew, why are you still clinging to Aaron? They say Aaron is the one playing both sides, but I think it's you. You chase after Aaron in public, then turn around and marry Andrew in secret. You're the most shameless, revolting, despicable woman I've ever seen. Andrew immediately pulled me behind him, shielding me. We grew up together, he said coldly. There was no chasing anyone. Emma and I are already legally married. If you keep spouting nonsense, I won't let you off so easily. Coming from someone as calm and gentle as Andrew, his words sounded especially serious. Lily was visibly frightened. She tugged once again at Aaron's sleeve, but this time Aaron snapped. Get lost, he shouted at her. Get away from me. This is all your fault. Lily's tears spilled over immediately.
Fine.
I'll leave. I'll die. I'll never bother you again, she cried hysterically. All the promises you made me, I'll pretend I never heard them. Covering her face, she turned and ran away. Aaron looked like he wanted to split himself in half. After a long moment of struggle, he finally gritted his teeth and chased after Lily. With the troublemakers gone, the wedding finally continued smoothly. Surrounded by everyone's blessings, wishes for a happy marriage, mutual respect, a lifetime together, and many children, Andrew and I completed the ceremony. Entered the bridal room. Even though this was technically my second wedding, my first bridal night in my past life had been spent in anger and arguments. So in a way, this was truly my first real wedding night. The next morning, Andrew and I woke up and stepped outside, only to find Aaron standing in the courtyard. In just one night, he looked like a completely different person, unshaven, haggard, and utterly broken. The moment he saw Andrew and me holding hands, looking blissfully happy, he seemed on the verge of tears. Why? Aaron choked out. Emma, why did you do this to me? You knew I loved you. I told you I would marry you. I only went after Lily because I was afraid she might do something stupid. Why couldn't you wait for me? When I asked you to apologize to her, if you didn't want to, you could have just said so. Why punish me like this? You don't really love my brother. Marrying him out of spite. You're ruining me. Ruining yourself and ruining him too. Andrew frowned deeply, clearly struggling to control himself, to stop himself from punching Aaron right then and there. I reached out and gently patted Andrew's shoulder to calm him. Aaron, I said, my voice steady and cold. Maybe I was immature before and made you mistakenly believe I liked you. But in truth, I have always seen you only as a friend, a family member, a brother. I married your brother not out of spite, but because I truly like him. I truly want to spend the rest of my life with him and build a family together. Hearing those words, Andrew seemed to finally let out a breath of relief. Andrew also held my hand firmly. Aaron, we all know the one you truly love is Lily. From now on, Emma is your sister-in-law. As for what you said today, we'll just pretend we never heard it. Aaron shook his head in utter despair, repeating like a broken record. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, sister-in-law. I had thought Aaron would feel embarrassed and move into the workers' dormitory, but he didn't. We ended up seeing each other almost every day, whether we wanted to or not. Still, I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Ever since the moment I decided to marry Andrew, I had already imagined such a scene in my mind. I was pursuing my own happiness. Naturally, I didn't need to concern myself with anyone else's issues. I wasn't going to waste my second chance at life fighting with Aaron and Lily all over again. It didn't matter to me, but Aaron's expression grew darker and darker with each passing day. One evening, on my way home from work, I hadn't even gone a few steps when Aaron appeared. My brother's working late tonight and can't come get you. I know you're afraid of the dark, and my mom and I were worried you might run into trouble, so I came to walk you home. I almost laughed out loud. So he did remember I was afraid of the dark. In my previous life, I had begged him countless times to come pick me up after work, telling him over and over how scared I was, but he had only coldly refused. You're a grown woman, still afraid of the dark. Don't act up just because you feel bad seeing me pick up Lily. And besides, you're a married woman. Now what's there to be afraid of? If anything, I'd be more worried about you hurting the bad guys. Mrs. Johnson had scolded him many times because of that. In the end, it was always Andrew who, under the pretense of just passing by, would quietly follow me home from a distance. After 30 years, I had long since stopped fearing the dark. This late-arriving act of kindness from Aaron was something I no longer needed. I said nothing. I didn't even spare him a glance as I kept walking forward. Aaron hadn't expected me to ignore him completely after he had finally made the effort. Unable to handle my indifference, he said, voice trembling, "Emma, you still haven't forgiven me?" I stopped walking and looked at him. "Aaron, I'm not angry with you." Before I could finish my sentence, Aaron's face lit up. "I knew it. You love me so much. How could you possibly stay mad at me? Let's go home. Once my brother gets off work, we'll tell him you want a divorce. Then we can get married. Don't worry, no one will judge you. Everyone knows we're the ones who truly love each other. If anyone dares talk behind your back, I'll shut their mouths for you. I promise I'll never let you suffer even a little bit. I knew you married my brother just to spite me. I was angry too, but it was my fault. I won't blame you for it. Please believe me." Seeing that he was about to go on endlessly, I interrupted him, my patience wearing thin. "Aaron," I said coldly, "I've made it very clear to you. Andrew and I truly love each other. We are building a life together. I will never divorce him. Even if someday, heaven forbid, we did separate, I still wouldn't marry you. I'm your sister-in-law, and I always will be." Aaron froze, seeing from my expression that I wasn't joking. But you said you weren't mad at me," he stammered. I nodded. "That's right. I'm not angry with you because you're like a little brother to me. I'm your sister-in-law. Why would I be angry at you? Besides, what have you done that's even worth being angry over?" Aaron looked utterly broken, unable to find any words to argue back. I didn't bother waiting for him to recover, and simply turned and walked home alone. Still having Aaron cling to me like this made me uneasy. I knew all too well marriage is like a small boat sailing across a vast ocean. Even the smallest disturbance could capsize it. I had no intention of making the same mistakes again. So a few days later I approached Mrs. Johnson. Together, we brought gifts and went to propose a marriage alliance to Lily's family. Lily had always liked Aaron, and now that Aaron was young, promising, and still unmarried, despite the rumor swirling around Lily's reputation, her family welcomed us with open arms, thrilled at the prospect of a match. But before everything was finalized, Aaron suddenly appeared. Lily's face flushed red with excitement. "Aaron, your mom and your sister-in-law are here to propose marriage. We're going to be husband and wife soon." "I'm so happy," Lily said brightly. "Aren't you happy too?" Aaron's face darkened as he shoved Lily's hand away. "I never wanted to marry you," he said coldly. "You know that I don't like you, I never have." He glanced briefly at me but didn't say anything aloud. Lily immediately exploded. "If you don't like me, then who do you like? Don't tell me you're still hung up on that Emma. She's already married. Can't you be normal for once? Are you seriously planning to wait for her to get divorced just so you can marry some second-hand woman? Emma doesn't deserve you. She's a shameless, filthy woman. She's married, and she's still trying to steal what's mine." Aaron shoved Lily aside. "Shut up." Lily stumbled and fell hard onto the ground, clutching her face before running away crying. This time Aaron didn't chase after her. Instead, like a lost soul, he trailed behind me and Mrs. Johnson all the way back to the house. The moment we stepped inside, Aaron dropped to his knees in front of Mrs. Johnson. I was so startled I almost gasped aloud. Aaron, crying, said, "Emma, I was wrong. I didn't understand my own feelings. Please don't arrange any more blind dates for me. I just want to wait for you. I love only you. One day you'll realize it and come back to me. Even if you don't, even if you never do, I'll stay single for the rest of my life." Looking at Aaron's pathetic, broken figure, I felt nothing. Not a trace of pity or sympathy, only complete indifference. This was always how he was. In my past life after marrying me, His heart was still filled with Lily. Now, given the chance to marry Lily, he was suddenly turning back to chase after me again. I knew very well that in my past life, Aaron had understood everything. He knew what was right and wrong. It wasn't my fault. He simply hadn't been willing to stand up for me, hadn't been willing to believe in me. He felt guilty about marrying me when his heart belonged to Lily. So he gave me the title of wife but gave all his love to her. Frowning, I stepped aside and said coldly, "Aaron, I've already made myself very clear. I am your sister-in-law. I will never be with you." Aaron, still kneeling, shuffled over to Andrew and clutched his leg. "Brother," he pleaded, "I know we're not related by blood. You're just the son of my father's comrade. But after all these years we're closer than real brothers. Please, I beg you, give Emma back to me. I'll give you anything you want in return. Without Emma I'll die. You know she loves me. She always has." Andrew looked over at me, worry flickering in his eyes. I quickly grabbed his hand to reassure him. "Aaron," I said firmly, "it's impossible. Your brother can't give me to you because I am not an object. I am his lawful wife. And I've said it many times. I don't love you. I love Andrew. No matter what you say, my love for him will never change." Every word I spoke came straight from my heart. In the beginning, I had married Andrew because of the lessons from my past life. But after spending real time with him, I had truly deeply fallen in love with him. In taking Andrew's hand, I gently placed it on my belly. Yesterday I wasn't feeling well, so I went to the hospital. I said, smiling, "I'm pregnant. You're going to be a father." Andrew was so overwhelmed with joy that he practically lost his mind. He didn't even care about Aaron's ramblings anymore. He scooped me up in his arms and spun me around in circles. It wasn't until Mrs. Johnson shrieked for him to put me down that he finally carefully set me onto a chair. His face was lit up with pure happiness. "I'm going to be a dad," he beamed. Mrs. Johnson was just as ecstatic, but seeing Aaron still kneeling there like a pitiful mess, her expression darkened. "Aaron," she said sharply, "I'm your mother. I know you better than anyone. I know exactly who you truly care about. I gave you so many chances. I even brought your brother along so Emma could choose between you two, all to make you realize the urgency. But you didn't seize the chance. You always want to have it both ways," Mrs. Johnson said coldly. "Emma is such a wonderful girl, and you don't deserve her. Think about it. Over these past few years, how much has Emma suffered because of you? If she had really married you, could she ever have been this happy?" Aaron collapsed to the floor, completely drained of strength. "I didn't," he muttered. "I wasn't trying to have it both ways. I only ever loved one person. I was just good to Lily because she once saved my life. I was repaying a debt. Once I repaid it, I planned to live a good life with Emma." "Saved your life?" Andrew and Mrs. Johnson said in unison. "When did she ever save you?" Aaron sighed heavily. "That year when the mountain caught fire, I was trapped. It was Lily who rushed in and saved me. If it weren't for her, I would have died." Mrs. Johnson stared at him in shock. "What nonsense are you talking about? When you were trapped in that fire, it was Emma who carried you out. Everyone knows it. How could you get that wrong?" Aaron froze, disbelief clouding his face.
Impossible.
"Lily told me it was her." Before he could finish speaking, Lily came rushing in, her face streaked with tears. "Aaron, you once promised me 3 wishes. My first wish is for you to marry me." Aaron grabbed Lily by the shoulders and shook her frantically. "Who was it that saved me in the fire?" he demanded. Lily's face went pale. "How? How did you find out?" she stammered. In that instant, Aaron understood everything. Lily had never saved him at all. Pushed away once again, Lily stumbled back. I only lied because I love you so much," she cried desperately. "I just wanted to marry you. Is that so wrong? Besides, you don't really love Emma. You love me. If you didn't, how could you have treated me so well?" Aaron looked as if he was about to break apart. "It's because you told me you saved me. That's why I promised you 3 wishes. That's why I treated you the way I did. Why would you lie to me?" I let out a quiet sigh. So that was it. In my past life, one of Lily's 3 wishes must have been for Aaron to give her a child. Terrified, Lily ran away without. Even looking back, Aaron didn't chase after her. Instead, he turned toward me, trying desperately to explain, saying he had simply mistaken who his true savior was. But I only laughed coldly. "No," I said. "That so-called debt of gratitude was just an excuse you used to betray me. Long before the fire, you and Lily were already entangled with each other. If it were really just about saving your life, would you have treated any random woman in the village this way? Would you have let someone like Widow Lou bully me too?" Aaron had no words to defend himself because we both knew the truth. Of course not. The so-called gratitude was merely a convenient excuse to ease his own guilt while he betrayed me. After this incident, Aaron completely changed. He quit his job, handed all his savings over to Mrs. Johnson to pass on to me, and tried to behave like a decent person again. He even arranged to meet Lily one last time, but only Aaron returned home. Not long after, Lily's family came to our house with the police. We found out Aaron had strangled Lily to death. He was arrested, clearly deranged, and quickly sentenced to death. On the day of his execution, I was heavily pregnant but still followed Andrew and Mrs. Johnson to see Aaron one last time. He refused to see Andrew or Mrs. Johnson. He only wanted to see me. When I walked into the room, his face lit up for a brief moment. Then his eyes dropped to my pregnant belly, and he laughed bitterly. "Emma," he said, "you have every right not to forgive me. Back then when you lost the baby you cried so hard, but all I could think was that you were using it to slander Lily. Deep down I knew you weren't that kind of person. I just didn't want to believe it. I listened to Lily's lies and even had a child with her without knowing the truth. I felt guilty and stupid. I thought if I gave you that child you'd be happy. I never realized how much pain I was causing you until it was too late." His voice trembled as he spoke, tears running down his face. "I understand now," he said. "I know I've regained my memories from our previous life. But even so, killing someone was wrong. I shouldn't have ruined my life over it." I sighed heavily. "Even if you understand now, Aaron, you still shouldn't have killed. You shouldn't have thrown your entire life away." Aaron smiled faintly. "I didn't plan on it either. But I knew Lily wouldn't stop. She would never let you go. I had already hurt you once. I couldn't let it happen again." He wiped his face with his sleeve, looking heartbreakingly broken. "Now that I'm dying, can you forgive me?" I lowered my head. To be honest, the memories from my past life were already fading. I was no longer the same person I once was. But hearing his words, a sharp pain surged through me. Memories of my past self, helpless and desperate, flashed in my mind. In those memories, my former self was screaming, sobbing, begging not to forgive him. I remained silent. I watched as the guards took Aaron away for his execution without uttering a single word. Later, Mrs. Johnson and Andrew retrieved his body and gave him a proper burial. Months later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The past, all the pain, the sorrow, the betrayal faded like smoke into the wind. From now on, I would live only for happiness.